You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, episode 185.2.7. Kevin Cherry reacts to Lapel's sectional draw.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
We are joined now by Lapel head coach Kevin Cherry. Welcome, coach. There was not a good draw in your sectional because every team's good, pretty much. But for as draws go in a sectional that deep, you had to like it.
Um, yeah, we went into that watching that draw tonight, and I said, I really don't care who we draw or who we play because if you're going to get out of that thing, you're going to have earned your way out of that sectional, and that's just the case here. I mean, if you just look at Sagarin ratings, you say, okay, maybe there are the top half of that bracket is maybe more loaded, if you will, but from top to bottom, that is a very talented sectional field with great coaches, great players, and it's going to be a battle every night. So, and I don't know, you got Elwood Frankton there in that first matchup, and certainly, not looking ahead to any type of matchup, but just Frankton in itself hosting a sectional, that is a tremendous advantage for a team coached by Brent Robson to be on their home court. They're playing very well, so they're going to be a tough matchup for Elwood, for us, or for whoever they might play along the tournament trail. So you're right. There really wasn't any good matchups or any good draws tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kevin, it's quite the sectional. Are you glad to have the bye?
Um, yeah, yeah, I mean, it's just one fewer steps to a sectional championship game. So from that respect, yeah, I like having the bye. On the flip side of that, though, is we play Newcastle Tuesday, and then after that game, now we're gonna wait. It's gonna be several days again before we play. So, as a coach, you're looking at it. There's positives, there's negatives, and it seems like the negatives always for
Yeah,
our coach. They always get more attention, but having more extra days off may or may not be good. I guess time will tell on
I
that.
yeah.
was
The
gonna say, I
way
guess
you're
that's the downside of you and Tipton being put in the same sectional this year. It kind of ended that Thursday night regular season finale that I always thought was a good matchup for both of you heading into the tournament.
Yeah, it was. And Cliff and I both agreed we were on the same page of that. Is with the change in the sectional alignment to try to get that game a little bit earlier in the season, so we wouldn't turn around potentially and play each other, the following week. And I was happy to do that with Coach Hawkins. But um, you know, Tipton to me is a team that I think they have the one player in that sectional field that may be the most difficult matchup for any of those teams in Carpenter. And I look at that team and with Coach Hawkins, to me, if I just look at them, I think maybe they're a favorite, to come out of that sectional just because of that one particular matchup. And Carpenter is a really good player.
Yeah, usually the sky is always falling with coaches, but in your case, I think you've got a legitimate concern. You really, since January 18th, have played twice a week consistently. You haven't lost since then, and then all of a sudden, you're going to have 9 days without a game.
Yeah, that's true. But I even just spend just a little bit of a positive here. Brody didn't play at Madison Grant. He was out with a upper body injury that he's going to be back Tuesday. But there are some nicks and bruises and bangs that guys will be able to hopefully get a little rest and be 100% coming into the sectional. And I think from that standpoint, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Of course, you had that long layoff, but and I know maybe another good thing is that your potential opponent is uh, backyard uh, your backyard rivalry to where for your kids I think when you
They're
play a
definitely
rival,
going to get up for it.
they're gonna be up for it, and maybe you don't have to worry about the focus, and at least you should be well rested.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't want to assume that we're going to play Frankton. They still have to beat Elwood, and last year Elwood, he will game plan and they will be prepared, and they will. I anticipate they will play whoever they play, and of course in this case it is Frankton. Elwood's going to be prepared, and they will pose a challenge to anybody. Ryan does a fantastic job, But if it were to be a Frankton Lapel matchup in that second round, it's a game to me. Like you just throw all the records out of it. It doesn't mean anything. It's two communities that it is a big time rivalry. The kids are very familiar with one another. Um, I've just 3 years into this rivalry thing now, but when those two teams play, what I found out quickly was the people in Frankton don't really like the people in Lapel, and the people in Lapel really don't like the
What?
people in Frankton during that game. So
What?
yeah, if you can imagine that, that's the way that works
When did
out.
that happen?
I know. I know.
All
Of course,
right,
me
Coach.
being from Pendleton, I'm from Pendleton, so I kind of came in as Switzerland there. I like people from the Lapel community and the Franklin community. So,
Well,
um,
let me tell you how it is, Kevin. The people who graduate from Frankton are good, and the people who graduate from Lapel are bad. That's how it
yeah,
is.
and the people who graduate from Franklin, the people who graduate from Lapel, both agree that people from Pendleton are bad.
That's right.
So they do have that in common, probably.
Well, real quick, Kevin, you talked about Grady Carpenter and what a tough matchup he is, but I think your brothers, the Judge brothers, are maybe the uh, really hardest tandem to prepare for in the sectional.
Well, they are definitely a good 1-2 combination, and I would say if you Carpenter is individually maybe the most difficult matchup. Then you look at Brody and Bodie, and you might say that may be the best 1-2 combination in that tournament field. And again, not to take anything away from the rest of that sectional field, because there's certainly talented players on all of those rosters. But Brody and Bodie are really nice players for us, and I'm fortunate to be able to coach them. And yeah, and they play different styles. And I think that's part of the reason why they're a difficult matchup. You want to take Bodie away, then that leaves maybe a little bit more room for Brody on the perimeter and the way he shoots it and getting to the basket. If you want to try to take Brody away, then maybe that opens up some opportunities for Bodie to play in and around the basket maybe a little bit better. So they are a very good 1-2 combination for sure.
Well, and when you have that like that, brothers, twins, whatever, they tend to know where the other is going to be, and it's always a nice outlet to have a safety. I've seen it in other sports when either at for Tipton or Tri Central or something, and whether it be basketball or football, sometimes if you have that brother or that really close, like a cousin that's like a brother, it's a safety valve, and when you're in trouble.
And even more when it's twins.
Yeah, and then it's a safety, and when you're in trouble, you just know where the other's going to be, and that's a nice luxury.
Yeah, it is, and it's something that I think in a lot of ways you can't really coach it, because, like you said, they've been that way their whole life since they were born. It's been two, and I'm a twin too, so I understand exactly what you're saying, Michelle. And to their credit though too, is they draw so much attention, and then that we've got guys that I think sometimes get overlooked, like Quinn Wilkins, Luke Jones, Devin Craig, Owen Garber, Tyler Cash. I mean, you can just go right down the list that those guys draw so much attention that it makes things sometimes easier for the rest of our guys in their team, that it might be 3 or 4 years after they graduate high school, or maybe not even until they're in their 30s, where they look back and go, wow, it was a luxury playing with two guys like that, because they draw so much attention that it creates more opportunities sometimes for our other guys. And Brody and Bodie are they are unselfish. They could certainly be more demanding at times of taking shots and wanting to be really high volume shooters, but they play within our system and share the basketball. And when they don't have a great shot, they've done a fantastic job of sharing the basketball with the rest of the team. And so from that standpoint too, I'm really happy and proud of those guys for buying into wanting to be a part of a team and not just the Brody and Bodie Lapel Bulldogs, if that makes sense.
It does.
Thank you so much for your time, Coach, and we will have plenty of more time to talk about the sectional before it begins. And we look forward to it. And good luck this week. And we will talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. And appreciate the coverage. This is a neat little thing here with the local Central Indiana teams and the sectional coverage that I certainly enjoy the podcast. So
Well,
I
thank you so
appreciate the
much.
coverage.
It means a
Yeah,
lot to
thank
us.
you.
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
And thank you so much again to Lapel head coach Kevin Cherry for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report. And of course to Michelle Garman for helping out with the interview. I say it every time, but I mean it every time. She is the best. And thank you for listening. Please go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Central Indiana Sports Report. We are so easy to find, and our podcasts drop there every single day. And tell a friend. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.